Okay, and we're at worksheet 10C for the Math 4 course, basically multiplying matrices and looking specifically at the numbers. That is not how this works at all. I don't know if y'all may not even be old enough to remember this commercial where the little old lady has got all these pictures of her friends literally taped up to her wall. And she says, I got all these friends on my wall. You know, the lady's like, that's not how this works. It's not how any of this works. She says, I unfriend you, and she rips your picture off the wall. But anyway, all right. Now, we're going to take A and E and add them according to this. I'm going to write out A plus 3 times E. And so our first step is to distribute the 3. Three times 6, 3 times 1, 3 times -2, 3 times 0, 3 times 4, 3 times 9. And then when we add those guys together, 2 and 18, 0 and 3, -3 and -6, 4 and 0, 1 and 12, -2 and 9. And that is what your finished product looks like. All right, B times E. B is a 2 by 2. E is 2 rows and 3 columns. So I see that the inside numbers match. So we're good there. And my result is going to be a 2 by 3. So I'm going to 2 rows and 3 columns. It's going to look just like E. Now well, I guess they're in order. So I can draw them like row 1 and column 1. I'm going to get -4 times 6 and 0 times 1. And then we're going to switch it up to the middle column. I'm going to get -4 times -2. And then I'm going to get 0 times 0. And then we're going to move over to the last column. -4 times 4 and 0 times 3. And that is our first row. Then we go to our second row in our first column. And we say 2 times 6 and -1 times 1. All right, 2 times 6, -1 times 1. And then we move over to the next column. We say 2 times -2 and -1 times 0. And then we move over to the last column. We say 2 times 4 and -1 times 3. All right, so then we begin to boil this down. -24 plus 0 and 12 minus 1, 8 plus 0 and -4 plus 0 and -16 plus 0 and 8 plus -3. And so we get -24 and 11 and 8 and -4 and -16 and 5. Okay. D times A, this one I am definitely going to want to rearrange. Now, this is a 2 by 2. This one is 2 rows and 3 columns. The inside 2's match, and we're going to get a 2 by 3 just like A. All right, so we're going to start with row 1, column 1, 2 times 2 plus -5 times 0. Then we're going to switch to the middle column, 2 times -3 and -5 times 4. And then we're going to switch over to the last column, 2 times 1, -5 times -2. And that is going to complete the top row. Then we move on to the bottom row. This row times this column, 1 times 2, 0 times 0. Then we move to the middle column, 1 times -3, 0 times 4. And we hit on the last column, 1 times 1, 0 times -2. All right, so we get 4 plus 0, and 2 plus 0, and -6 minus 20, and -3 plus 0, and 2 plus 10, and 1 plus 0. We get a 4 and a 2, and a -26, and a -3, and a 12, and a 1. All right. Now let's try C times D. C is 1 row and 2 columns. This is a 2 by 2. The middle numbers match, so we're going to get a 1 by 2 as a result. It's going to look just like C. So this one ought to be a little easier. So 3 times 2 and -1 times 1. And then we switch over to the other column. 3 times -5 and -1 times 0. That's going to give us 6 minus 1 and -15 plus 0, which is going to give us 5 and -15. Let's see how many more of these we got. Oh, we got plenty. Okay. We're just getting started. All right, first thing we're going to have to do is figure out what is B plus D. Well, B plus D is going to be a 2 by 2 when we get through with it. And E is 2 rows and 3 columns, which tells us that we're going to wind up with a 2 by 3 when we're done. Now, let's go ahead and add B plus D together. I'm going to wind up with -4 plus 2, 2 plus 1, 0 plus -5, -1 plus 0. And so we're going to take that one, and we're going to do like the first row, and then that times E, the first row there. And we said that we're going to have a 2 by 3, 2 rows and 3 columns, which means that it's going to look something like this. Something like that when we're done. All right, so we're going to say -2 times 6 and -5 times 1. Then we're going to move our column over. We're going to say -2 times -2, -5 times 0. And we're going to move our column over to the last one. We're going to say -2 times 4 and -5 times 3. All right, now we're going to work on the bottom row. First column, 3 times 6, -1 times 1. Then we'll move over to the next column. 3 times -2, -1 times 0. 3 times -2, -1 times 0. And then the last column, 3 times 4, -1 times 3. And so now we're ready to start putting them together. -2 times 6, -5 times 1, 3 times 6, -1 times 1, -2 times -2, -5 times 0. Here we get a -6 plus 0. Here we get a -8 minus 15. Here we get a 12 minus 3. And we wind up with a -17 and a +17 and a 4 and a -6 and a -23 and a 9. Okay. Let's try C times A plus E. A plus E. 2 plus 6, 0 plus 1, -3 times -2, or plus -2, 4 plus 0, 1 plus 4, -2 plus 3. Now, C times D is going to be a 1 row, 2 column. This is 2 rows and 3 columns. So our answer is going to be a 1 by 3. This is going to be interesting. 1 row, 3 columns. That's what our answer is going to look like. And we're going to go across and down 3 times 8, and negative 1 times 1. And then we're going to go down this guy. 3 times negative 5, negative 1 times 4. And then we're going to do this guy. 3 times 5, negative 1 times 1. And this is going to be 24 minus 1, negative 15 minus 4, and 15 minus 1, which is going to give us 23 and negative 19 and 14. Now we got that one, and that one, and that one. All right, so we have 3 more to go. And I will say that the last one is back to scalar multiplication and basic adding and subtracting. All right, B plus D times A plus E. All right. Let's see what they come out as. B plus D is both 2 by 2s, and A plus E are going to be 2 by 3s. So if we're doing a 2 by 2 and a 2 by 3, that means we're going to get a 2 by 3 as a result. All right, and we need to figure out the B plus D. Negative 4 plus 2, 2 plus 1, 0 plus negative 5, negative 1 plus 0. And then the A plus E would be 2 plus 6, 0 plus 1, that, and that. So those two added together. Now we can start working on first row, first column. Negative 2 times 8, and negative 5 times 1. And we move it over 1. Negative 2 times negative 5, and negative 5 times 4. And we go negative 2 times 5, and negative 5 times 1. And we are done with the top row. Now we can work on the bottom row. 3 times 8, negative 1 times 1. Then we move the column over. 3 times negative 5, negative 1 times 4. And the last one, 3 times 5, negative 1 times 1. Which is going to give us negative 16 minus 5, and 24 minus 1, 10 minus 20, and negative 15 minus 4, and negative 10 minus 5, and 15 minus 1. I can do better than that. There's 23 there, and negative 10 there, and negative 19 there, and negative 15 there, and 14 there. Okay. B times C. B is a 2 by 2. C is a 1 column by 2, or 1 row by 2 columns. And because these two do not match, it is undefined. We can't do it. And the last one, just to warm down a bit, we're going to say 2 times B minus 4 times D and so we're going to distribute out those numbers, and we're going to get negative 8, 4, 0, and negative 2. And I'm just going to ahead and distribute the negative 4. So I've got a negative 8, negative 4, positive 20, 0. But since I distributed the negative, I can now think of it as adding, which I'm going to make less mistakes if I do that. Negative 8 is negative 16. 4 and negative 4 is 0, 0 and 20, negative 2 and 0. So that's what that should look like. And that is it.